Hi, welcome to the Turret of Pleasure here in the Enchanted Kingdom of Hermione. And we're just sitting around watching the rain in Osaka, spying on the people in St. Kilda, and going through a bunch of thrift store stuff. So more thrift stories. And I think, well, everything except, well, the first thing this is great. I'm going to show you how I managed to afford my affliction, my addiction to CDs. Because you see, sometimes a really great musician comes and plays in your town against all odds. You're like, what the heck? And in this case, that musician is Mats Gustafsson, saxophonist from Europe, baritoner, and his band Fire played here in Victoria in a record store to the crowd of about 60 people. And they were very, very good. Electric bass, drums, and Matt's on his electronics and baritone, and some really good flute playing as well. And we had a really good time. Anyway, normally when I see people like this, I like to buy something off of them at their merch table. And he had a bunch, of course, Matt's is a real vinyl guy. And he had all kinds of exotic vinyl, and I was like, yeah, I'm not really into this. But then he mentioned he had this, and I noticed the Christoph Penderecki name, and I went, well, what is it? What? I had to actually go ask Matt what this was, and it's actually a piece that Penderecki wrote for I can't remember the name of the festival, Donauschaugen, and it was called Actions for Free Jazz Orchestra, and the only time it's ever been performed prior to this was Don Cherry, the trumpet player for Ornette Coleman, assembled a group of European jazz artists, including, well, I remember Terry Ribdall was in it, and they did this piece, Penderecki being a modern classical composer, if you will, from Poland, communist Poland, but very pushed the boundaries a lot, and is quite famous. Did music for The Shining, did music for, or no, he didn't do the music for 2001. That was Ligeti. But he did the Threnody for the Victims of Hiroshima, which is a very famous piece from about 58 or so. And this is Matt's new interpretation of it, done in conjunction with the great composer, just before he died, I do believe. And I don't recognize any names on this because I'm not really deep in the European jazz scene. There's Matt's, and I don't know the names of any of the guys that play with him either, which is sort of not good. At any rate, there's no notes on this. The one thing is you get two panels, terrific recording. Now, what they've done with this, the original piece was only about 18 minutes, I believe, or 14 minutes or something. And so Matt's fleshed it out so it's a full LP length, about 40 odd minutes. Some great playing on this, $15, straight into the artist's pocket. I was happy to pay it. So there you go. I am a cheapskate, but when push comes to shove and the artist is selling their wares directly, I'll buy it unless it's ridiculously expensive. And here's another one. This is an old friend of mine, John Carroll. We worked together at Logan's Pub. We concocted a band on literally a moment's notice, which I think ended up being called Thunder Lizard. Danny Weisberger, myself, John, who the heck else was involved in this? Clay George. And John is a great guy, great songwriter. He works out of Ottawa now. If you live in Ottawa or those environs, you should check him out. Great songwriter. And this I found for, I think it was $1, because I didn't have a copy of it. I hadn't bought one off him because I haven't seen him in about 20 years. And this has what I think is his best song, Do You Want to Dance Cookie? I always call it Do You Want to Dance With Me Cookie, because that's the lyric. He originally recorded this in my studio with the Red Eye Rounders, and they did an amazing version of this that just ended up never getting released, like so many great recordings. True Confessions of an Infamous Liar. He's made many records. He's got a newer one out that I haven't got yet. You got to check him out if you love good songwriting. Singer-songwriting style music. Great witty, good guy. You should pay attention to him. Another dollar CD. Here we go. Smithsonian, an Afghan legend on his instrument, which I can't remember the name of the instrument, but it's basically there it is. It's a guitar-like object. And this is apparently taken from the only concert he ever gave in America. He was teaching, featuring Zakir Hussain, who's gone into much bigger and better things. This is really old, 1974. And he was teaching in, I think it was Washington. And he did a recital, I guess, and somebody had the presence of mind to record it, and now it came out on Folkways Smithsonian, and there I have it for $1. I played this all the way through. It is enchanting. I love it when I find stuff like this. I had no idea who this guy was. Ustad Muhammad Omar, and he is essentially the last word in Afghani rabab player. There you go. Looks kind of like a theorbo lute, sort of. Sounds very guitar lute-like. And, yeah, great stuff. Wonderful. $1. So there you go. Now, I think all of these were $1, and I am a bit of a sucker for these. This is sort of an I Am That Sucker as well as a thrift story. But these were all at, and a goodly chunk of these, the next batch, actually. These were all from the St. Vincent de Paul thrift store in Langford, BC, where I get a lot of CDs because they get a lot of stuff in and they only charge $1. And $1 is okay because, you can buy this batch here and it's hardly anything. And here's some good stuff. For example, the Rhino Faces, best of. I don't have any Small Faces on CD. I've got their first step on vinyl still. I think that might be all that has remained. That was $1. I'm delighted to buy it. Same with this. Now, this looks kind of tacky, but it's actually very good. It's all the original tapes, Decca tapes. And the Zombies, if I'd probably rather have, Odyssey and Oracle on a CD, but this has all their hits, which there wasn't that many. And then there's and this one I really liked. This was $1 as well. And again, back in the day, I really liked this band. Free were just the epitome of a blues rock boogie band from England. They had a couple of great songs. Wishing Well is a good song, I think. And of course, the big hit, All Right Now, possibly the simplest song ever made. And this is Everything You're Ever Gonna Need by this band, and it was $1. So there you go. There you go. Finally, the much maligned Mott the Hoople's Greatest Hits. Well, it isn't really, because it's only their Columbia stuff. And Mott the Hoople go from strength to strength, and I hope Andrew Malloy doesn't hate me for saying that this isn't really that good of a record. All the Way from Memphis is great. All the Young Dudes, of course, is great. Their version of Roll Away the Stone's pretty good. But there's a couple I really like. This is a greatest hit. Holy smoke. Anyway, again, $4. So for $4, I got 4 classic bands, best ofs on CD, which I'm happy to have. Throw them on mixtapes. And then there was this whole miscellaneous rest of this stuff. And this is a pretty good thrift store because you just get everything. So, for instance, you had New World Records Shaker songs. Now, I really dig Shaker songs. They're really simple. They're really weird. And I've got another Erato Shaker song compilation by Joel Cohen that is really cool. It's strange in its simplicity, and some of the songs, you could turn them into metal songs. And they're all about, tortured souls and the Lord, and it's a strange sort of lexicon they use. Anyway, I love this stuff. $1. Now, this one got the Empress excited because she and I are both massive Attack fans. And so much so we went and saw them at the Malcolm Bowl in Vancouver a few years back, and they were really good. And I have found, and this is interesting because I guess they sold well enough, I have found every single one of their CDs in the thrift store, including their super fancy best ofs and the one with the DVDs and everything. They've all been $1. I didn't know this one existed. Danny the Dog soundtrack. Sadly, it is a bit of a letdown. It's a lot like a soundtrack record. And it passed pleasantly enough. You know what, might play it again someday, but maybe not. Okay, now these are $1, like I said. So I took a chance. I thought Sparrow Records, done by EMI, doing Andy Griffith, singing very traditional hymns, very well produced by somebody in Nashville. I figured this might be worth something to somebody. And like maybe some of my religious relatives who love this music, I tried it out. It was the music was great. The singing was not. I didn't like it. Sounds like a nice man, but it just wasn't my bag at all. And I can listen to devout Christian religious music and appreciate it for what it is. This one didn't reach me. And then, speaking of music that doesn't reach me, there's few types of music I like less than Dixieland. But, like all music, if it's done right, it's pretty friggin' good. And I found this, and I thought, oh, Pete Fountain. Oh, wait, it's on Verve. And this is, Pete Fountain, when I was a little kid, Pete Fountain was the face of Dixieland. And him and his clarinet. And my whole mental image of the clarinet was strictly, licorice stick. And which is sort of interesting because when I finally acquired a clarinet and learned how to play it, my playing was absolutely not influenced one whit by Dixieland. So kind of strange. I haven't played this yet, but there's apparently a whole album on here where they had 4 different guys playing the drum kit to simulate a marching band in New Orleans. So I'm betting this is pretty good. I haven't played it yet. It takes a while to get through all this stuff to play it even a little bit. But I'm betting that one's worth $1. Then I find this. Now this is pretty cool. This is the old Columbia Jazz Masterworks. And this was originally a 10-inch record. So this is a reissue of a reissue of a reissue of a reissue. And it was originally Billy and Ella and Lena. Sarah wasn't on it. And then they expanded it when the 12 inches came along, and I think that's when Sarah got added. And then when the CD revolution came along, they added tracks, I think, by all of them. It's chock-a-block. If you like female jazz vocals, you simply can't go wrong with this. I haven't even bothered to check how much of it I've got. I've probably got the Billy, but I don't care. And then another one. Now I've actually started a Christmas section because every year for about the last 20 years, Christmas Day rolls around and somebody says, "Hey, you got any Christmas music?" And I go, "Well, it's kind of everywhere. So I said, screw it. I'm going to make a little pile. It's all Christmas. And what should float into my radar for $1 but the Prestige Christmas record? How many versions of the Christmas song are on there? 1, 2, 3. Oh, only 3. Okay. Don Patterson, Bobby Timmons, Lockjaw Davis, Gene Ammons, Paul Bley? Okay. Dexter Gordon. I'm glad I found this because now I can put that thing on all day in Christmas. And then this one was weird. I saw this and passed. I didn't like the look of it. It's not in fabulous shape either. Let's see. It's a little zingy looking, but it'll play. But, again, I'm that sucker. I love labels. And I'm sort of slightly obsessed with labels. And one label I've always really been into is the OK label. OK. Now, OK label, to most record collectors, will be a label that they are associate with R&B, black music, 30s, 40s. It was a label that was started way back in the whenever. And I always thought, OK. I thought it was some kind of black, idiom thing. OK, man. No. Incorrect. It's actually the 4 initials of the German fellow who started the label. Otto something, I don't know, Hellinger or something. So that completely blew that theory out the window. Beautiful purple label. Anyway, they made records all through the 40s and 50s. They got bought out by Columbia CBS way early, maybe in the 40s, I think. And then they kind of it disappeared, then would come back as a budget R&B label, and then it disappeared, and it came back as sort of a, always had a black R&B thing. And then it disappeared in about, I don't know, 1968 or 69. And it stayed disappeared for a while. And then, for reasons unknown, the mighty Sony group, I guess it has to be Sony by this point. What year is this, 93? They decided, to my delight, because like I say, I'm a label junkie. This is 95. God, this is 27 years ago. 27 years ago, Epic decided we're going to bring back the OK label. All right, and we're going to make it kind of a funky blues label, I guess you will. But you know, and this guy, G Love and Special Sauce, this is, I got about halfway through it. I liked it. It's like he mixes rap with kind of rural blues, I guess you would say, sort of southern Louisiana style blues. I can't help but think he's a little bit full of shit, and he's a really dreadful guitar player. But that's kind of cool. It's kind of like Hound Dog Taylor's a dreadful guitar player, you know. And so this record, I got about halfway through it before I decided I wanted to listen to something else. But I liked it all the way through. I didn't love it. Now, is this Jim Dickinson? Jim Dickinson plays piano on this. I think Dickinson produced this. And it has a really authentic sound. Yeah, produced by Jim Dickinson. Legendary Southern producer, no longer with us, sadly. 95. Hey, that's a long time ago. Anyway, worth buying for $1 just because the label turns my crank. They later turned OK into a jazz label, and now it's completely gone. If you go to their website, it's stuck in like 2018. And this last pile, now this is where it gets sticky, because I'm that guy. Everybody goes, hey, you like CDs? Yeah, I do. Don't you like records? You know, I like CDs better. Why? Well, I like these. I think they sound better. Oh, I thought, you know. And so I get these people. Well, I got a buddy. He's got CDs to give away, and it's like, okay, what? You know, do you want them? I said, what, for free? Yeah, okay, sure. At the worst I can do is give them to the thrift store. So this was a pile of CDs that I got for free from a couple of different places, I think. I've done a video on the black box that I got, which is an amazing collection, but frustrating. These are actually in the boxes. Thank you, Lord. I like CDs. I really, really, really don't like getting a CD that doesn't have, at least, if it has the CD itself, the booklet, and the J card, I'll find a CD for it. That's great. But here we go. These are free. Cameo. Now, Cameo are cool. Cameo were kind of I don't know how you describe them. Funky, as all get out. Black band. I do believe they were from Atlanta. Larry Blackmon. This is a later record. Talking Out of the Side of Your Neck. This is a good record. Pretty spiky. A little bit, you know, maybe like Prince-ish, maybe. But they've never made a bad record that I've heard. And I'll make space for that one. Then there's Marcia Ball. Now, I don't know much about this. So this was in the pile of freebies. It's on Rounder, and it's called Let Me Play With Your Poodle. So, I don't know. I've got a feeling it's rock and roll, and it's probably rock and roll from a female perspective, I'm going to guess. How could it not be? It's from a female. And it looks like it's whimsical. Crawfishing. Why Women Cry. Anyway, Rounder is almost always good. I can't think of a lousy Rounder record off the top of my head, and they've made a bugger lot of records. Another thing I used to really love about Rounder was they would get their defective records back, and somebody in the factory would check them and say, there's nothing wrong with this. So they put a sticker on it saying, this record was returned to us as defective. We don't think there's anything wrong with it, so we're giving it away as a promo. Great idea. Why didn't other people do that? Oh, man, I am such a sucker for this stuff. Oh, Deborah on the Celtic harp. Oh, and you know what? I love the harp. The harp is just like, you know, it's like you're in heaven. And this is John Dowland. This is, oh, maybe not all. Yeah, okay. It's pretty much all classical. And I do prefer my harp music to be written by guys with names like Anon. And so, yeah, that was free. And again, Okay, I'm going to leave this in the garbage? No. I have not listened to this, and it may take some time. But my AC/DC collection is filling out. And so far, I think it's cost me absolutely bugger all. This, needless to say, is not their first live album. This is the later live album on Albert through Epic. They switched their whole catalog over to Epic. I'm not sure why. And there you go. This is not okay. And then there's Joni Mitchell, Turbulent Indigo, which is I like but don't love this record. I haven't heard it in a million years, so I'm going to play it again because I like Joni Mitchell quite a bit. I found that during this phase of her career, she kind of got softer and softer as she got older, and I needed a few more edges on her stuff to really get into it. Here is a controversial recording, the last recording by Billie Holiday. This is not very fucking good. This is a sort of a voyeuristic experiment in watching somebody die, basically. Ray Ellis and his orchestra. Sometimes I'm happy. Sometimes. I haven't played this. It's not how I want to remember Billie, that's for sure. And not the way you want to remember her either. However, as a student of her work, it's good to have it for free, just so I can tell people that they should maybe not do drugs. Again, here's a much maligned character, this guy, George Thorogood, the Destroyers. Now, remember when I was talking about Rounder Records? Well, his first record on Rounder is absolutely great, and I love it to this day. It's hokey as all get out, but whatever. Guy's having a ball. And lucky and hard work, he got signed to Capital EMI, and he made some money, and good for him. He's probably earned every dime. This record is not bad. It's okay. It's like a ZZ Top record. How can it be bad? If you like this kind of music, you will find this is the very worst, maybe a B minus. And getting a haircut, I don't think he writes. The thing I was hoping was that he would learn how to write, because that way he would make some publishing money. And I know he loves. Oh fuck, it's one of these. They're not gonna tell me nothing. Produced by Terry Manning and the Delaware Destroyers. I'll bet this record didn't cost very much to make, and good for them. Willie Dixon, Bo Diddley, Jack Nietzsche, Patrick Sky, John Lee Hooker, Dave Avery. I don't see any of them. I'm sure he wrote a couple. Is there no other place going to tell me where the writing credits are? That really is not good. Oh well. I seem to remember he wrote one or two on this, and they're okay. It's he's a good guy. You want him to do well. So there you go. I'm not going to throw this in the garbage. Number one, I want to hear it basically to hear the mixes. I think the mixes are different. And yeah, and then of course now this is the big fancy ass reissue. I think this is the current last word in this record. I have what's going on, man? There's the booklet. What's going on here? I have the mono box because I'm old enough. Yes, I'm that old that I remember the Beatles in mono, and I had a mono stereo or record player, or whatever you want to call it. And so when stereo came along, I'll never forget the first stereo record I ever heard was the Royal Guardsman singles about Snoopy and the Red Baron. And those were in fairly extreme stereo, as were some of these early Beatle records when you ever found them in stereo, which in those days wasn't very often. They were pretty rare in stereo. And so I always thought the stereo meant the instruments came out of one speaker and the vocals came out of the other. When I was about 6. And of course, I was disabused of that notion. I'm sure this is how this works. Wait a minute. I just realized I'm doing this fucking backwards. There. Anyway, this is, to my knowledge, let's see, where's it going to tell me? It's going to tell me original photography. I don't remember if this is remixed or just remastered. At any rate, it's in stereo. I don't think it's the original stereo mix, because the original stereo mix was essentially 2-track. Recording notes. Does it say? Does not say actually remixed. So that's a little bit of a... I think these are not the original mixes, but I could be wrong. At any rate, it's nice to have one of these as a comparison for my mono box, and it was free. And it's actually a record that, as a Canadian, we never got this record. We got oh god, no, I can't remember what these songs were all on. No Reply was on Beatles 65, as was I'm a Loser, as was Baby in Black. Yeah, in fact, most of this is Beatles 65 in North America, and I got that finally. And I haven't played this yet, and you know I'm going to. We found Shirley Bassey's remix record, and I mean, hey, I'm not gonna take this for free. I'll bet this is just a hoot. And it got a really bad review in AllMusic, which makes me want it even more. So, I'll find shelf space for this. There you go. Now, okay, so how many is that? It's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So $24 I paid for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, $24 for 19 CDs. Not bad. $1.10 a piece. And some of them is great. Some of them I can maybe sell, maybe give to people, load them into the giant 250 CD thing and put it on shuffle mode for the rest of time. Anyway,